Good morning, Pioneers. My name's Connor Morrison. Welcome to The Grit.
And I'm Joseph Galvin, and today we're going to be taking a look into a key matchup tonight, OOHS Orange versus the UA Golden Bears.
Let's get right into it.
Wow, I'm excited. OOHS Orange has a chance to have their best season in the history of this very young high schools, starting all the way back in 2008. They have only had two playoff wins, 2011, 2019, I would like to say, or 18, when Zach Harrison was here. So, this team, let's just get out the gates, is electric. The defense against OOHS proved that they can stack up against some of the best. They went against a guy like Jackson Wiley, held him to minimal yards until that last drive when he got that game-winning touchdown. Really, besides that, he has been, the defense has been elite. All right, so that game there's some turnovers that allowed OOHS to score some points, but obviously the offense struggled in the first half, 3-0, but then they came back, 21 points in the second half. They're going against a team that they already won, so the mental game has to be on Orange's side. All right, this is they have the win over UA. Obviously, it was a hard-fought win, but it was a win nonetheless. And I think it was a pretty handled victory. We called the game ourselves, saw it from start to finish, and I don't think UA was in that game in the second half. So for me, I think this game's going to come down to, is UA going to have a revenge game? Are they going to have the mentality to go in here at Orange and beat them, what they couldn't do a couple weeks ago? I don't see much that has changed, and so I don't think they will. Or is Orange going to be able to settle down after a close game against OOHS and get another tough victory over Golden Bears and most likely play Liberty in the next round?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, UA has two losses to the fifth-ranked team. They have one of their losses to us in the latter couple weeks of the season, and then a loss to Glenville on week 1. It was 6-0, very odd score, very low scoring. I don't even know if it was 2 field goals or a touchdown where an extra point was missed. I don't know the details there. What I do know is that, like you said, UA didn't look in it in the second half when we played them earlier in the season. But in that first half, they did. They had the lead for most of the first half when they played, and then their energy, their momentum just stopped in that second half. Like you said, we called the game, we saw it. This UA offense moves slow. The defensive coaching staff, they said that you should expect a good mix of pass and run. We saw, I want to say close to 80% runs, and those passes that the UA quarterback threw, they didn't look great except for a couple. On the other hand, we've seen a good, healthy mix from the Pioneer offense of running and passing. And whether it's design runs for Levi, whether it's just a straight run for Cohen, whether it's a scramble from Levi out of the pocket and he makes something happen, you see the run game. And that run game is so helpful because they can establish that run very early against this defense, and then it allows them to open up the pass. One thing we talked about on our live stream when we called the game was UA plays a little bit of a different style on offense. They have an extra tight end that they bring in on most plays that he just comes and blocks. He's not a receiving tight end. He just blocks. And they do a lot of motion where they'll bring the end tight end and the other tight end, who they both play as linemen essentially, from one side of the line to the other just to try and switch it up. One thing that we did see is that anytime they did that, they just ran the ball to the side where the lineman went. It's something that I don't really get because it's very telling of what the situation is going to be as far as the defense. So I think that is going to be pretty crucial as far as UA needs to work on getting the run game if they want to even have a chance of winning, which I don't think they have a very large chance in the first place. And then Pioneer offense just needs to keep doing what they've been doing all season. They've looked great all season on offense.
Yeah, so what you're saying with UA, I don't think it's going to come down to the run game. I think they have to get this pass game going. He had a couple deep balls. One was intercepted. It was a terrible throw. I think my little sister could have made a more accurate throw than he did. It was terrible. So It's easy. I think it was a pick six, if I remember correctly, for Will Musgrove.
It was.
Yeah, so, I think it's going to come down to, is UA good enough in that passing attack to get the ball down the field? Because I know Orange has the offense. They're going to be scoring points. We know UA's defense is good, but I think this offense has grown even more since the UA game. I think Levi has really grown as a player too. So I think they're going to need to get some big plays that they did not get. Most of their big plays came on the defensive side. So I think if Orange can limit their mistakes, they should have a pretty handled victory here.
Yeah, talking about limiting mistakes, and then also as far as growth, as far as Levi in his first 3 years of starting. Levi's looked phenomenal this year. He's made a big leap. Limiting mistakes, he's only had 4 interceptions and had 20-plus passing touchdowns and some rushing touchdowns in there as well. That has been really the key in this change of offense. Obviously, the scheme change with the new coach, that mixed things up a little bit, but also just the development of Levi. I think he's much more comfortable in this system that Coach Schrader has brought in, where he has a large amount of options. He knows which read to look at first, which read to look at second. He's played much more, not conservatively, that's not a word I would use, because he still plays a little bit with some flair. I wouldn't say reckless either, but it's kind of fun to watch, where you never know what's going to happen if he's scrambling out of the pocket. So I think that change in keeping the ball and limiting those turnovers, we've had a couple fumbles here and there too, but sometimes it's a part of life. It's a part of football. Everyone's going to have some fumbles throughout the year. That has been the key factor in the change of this offense, is keeping the ball in the offensive guys' hands much more and being much safer with the ball.
I think Orange's past couple games have been decided not, I know I just said the turnover. I think it's going to be a big part. I really think this game also will come down to the trenches. I think that the last game was decided by the trenches. The Orange was able to stop the run. They're a very good run defense. Pass defense is good. It's the getting pressure to the quarterback is the issue, and it has been all season. No pressure. The 3-5 is not meant for that. That was also a problem in UA, but thankfully the quarterback was not good enough to, punish Orange for their lack of pass rush. So, and the Liberty game, I think, the Liberty game, for example, and the Olentangy game, they're two opposite games. Liberty won the trenches. They were able to run the ball. They were able to stop any pressure from getting to Andrew Leonard. On the flip side, Orange won the trenches in Olentangy. They stopped the run. They got to the quarterback. They made some big plays on defense, and the offensive line was electric. And I think, I'll talk about this offensive line a little bit, they're elite. They have really, from left tackle to right tackle, they have really increased. Besides the Liberty game, they have been one of the best units I have seen in all of Ohio high school football teams. They're elite. They got and I think that's been a massive part of why Levi is playing so well. He has a great pocket that he can stay in, instead of in previous years where he has to roll out and make a play on the fly.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, excuse me, the rolling out, he doesn't have to roll out sometimes, but he just chooses to anyway. He's comfortable in that situation. He can choose to roll out on a play just to switch things up. Maybe if he has so much time in the pocket, nothing's getting open. When he rolls out, the receivers can go a little bit off the script, off the route they're given, kind of go to Levi a little bit more, and he can either take off and run or he can throw a nice pass. Something that you talked about as far as our defense. While our defense isn't great against getting pressure to the quarterback, however, we saw getting a lot of pressure against Olentangy. What they are great at doing is creating turnovers, mainly interceptions. I've got to think, I don't know off the top of my head, but I've got to think that Orange has one of the highest interception numbers in Central Ohio. We've seen so many games with defensive backs having multiple interceptions, whether it's the same guy, whether it's two different guys. Sometimes there's been games where it's 3 interceptions. We've had a couple pick sixes. I've got to think that we have such a good turnover rating as far as defense that could be something that's a key factor. We didn't see a lot of turnovers against Olentangy. I think we had, 1 or 2 interceptions against Upper Arlington, I don't remember, and one of them was that pick 6. So I think that if we can create a lot of turnovers, maybe, if we get some pressure in creating a fumble, that could be a key factor.
So my final score prediction for this game is 28-20 last time. I'm going to go with a slightly higher scoring game. I'm going to go 24-15 for the UA Golden Bears. I think they're going to get that offense going a little bit better. But I think Orange is going to score a lot more points. So 24-34 is my score prediction. Orange is going to come out on top here. I think Levi's going to have a great game as he did last time. He was able to run all over. He had a 67-yard touchdown. So that's my final score prediction. 34-24, Olentangy Orange coming on top to move on to the Final Four.
Yeah, I agree. I think this game will obviously be an Orange win. It would be crazy for me to say that we're not going to win this game. But I think it is going to be a little closer than you might think, just because it's a playoff atmosphere. Everything just means a little bit more for these teams. I think that this game will be a little closer than the score that we saw the last time these two teams faced off. But I think that the score won't be telling of how dominant Orange is going to look. I think we're probably looking at maybe a 24-17 Pioneer score. And I think that, it might be that we hold a lead for most of the game, or if not all of the game. I think, just like I said a minute ago, scoreboard won't be telling. I think this is going to be a dominant game for Orange's offense. It'll be a defensive side of the game, in my opinion, just because these two defenses are so vastly different in a sense, but they're so elite in a sense as well on different types of defense, because UA doesn't run that 3-5 defense that we won. So I think 24-17, that's looking like the score that I want to have in this game. Do you have any final thoughts?
Well, I just want to say either way, I would hope that either of these scores happen, because that means that Olentangy Orange will win. And that's one guarantee I will give to any people who are watching this. Olentangy Orange Pioneers will be victorious at the end of tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see a rematch between Liberty and Orange. I think that'll be a really good revenge game. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on the game tonight. Make sure that if you're a student, if you're a parent, be there, be loud, roll Nears. We'll see you next week.